part of it, Leslie, is that we may start as solopreneurs, but as our business grows and as we begin to see so much growth and the revenue starts coming in, oftentimes it's hard to just remain a team of one, depending on what it is that you're doing. And sometimes even if you only get one other person that comes in and helps you or works with you, just one other person can make all the difference in the world, right? And so, really being thoughtful about these things will save you a lot of trouble down the road. Because here's the thing, if you go in understanding these things and knowing these things right from the beginning, you don't have to go back and try to correct mistakes later, right? It gives you that intention right up front. Okay.
If I could throw in with an experience,
Yes, please, Joe.
this goes back many years ago. I actually met up with a gentleman from Brazil who was fantastically successful and wealthy. And I asked him what were his marketing secrets. And I think it
Mm-hmm.
fits right with what we're talking about right here. He
Mm-hmm.
said, I just asked why 7 times.
Mm-hmm.
He said that usually takes quite a while. And by the time I get that done, I'm crystal clear on everything.
That's right. That's right, Joe. I love it. And
Mhm.
and I'm gonna share an experience because at one point I used to work as an enrollment counselor for a proprietary institution. But one of the things that we used to do when students were calling in to want to enroll in school, and these are folks that have maybe tried school 2, 3, 4 times before, but life was lifing, and they, when you don't really have a core understanding to your why, those kinds of things that you're doing for yourself, although they may benefit you in the long run, you're more focused, and those are the first things that go, right? So asking why. So, oftentimes it's like, why is now, what is now your motivation for going back? Well, I want to make more money. I want to be able to, take care of my family, this and this and this. Well, what does more money look like to you? Like, define what more money looks like. And so then you get people to thinking about, okay, well, when I say more money, well, what would be a good number for me? Okay, so when you have more money, what do you want to do with that? Well, I want to buy my family a home, and I want to do, okay, well, what does that home look like, right? It is about really taking those deeper dives, because, we all have that first level kind of answer, that standard answer that when people ask us, we kind of have that basic answer. But it is going deeper and continuing to ask the whys that really helps us get to that deeper understanding. And it helps us to really think about why we're doing this. And when it does get hard, we can go back to the why. And the more people who know and understand our why, the more they can be our support system to come back and say, well, you said you wanted to do this for these reasons. If you stop now, who's going to do it? How will it get done? Right. And they can act as motivators for you because you had a vision and you understood your why when you started. And it helps you just to keep going when it gets hard. And it often gets hard. Right. So just understanding that from the beginning is key. Anybody else have an example or a question or anything that they'd like to share? No? All right. Well, we're gonna bring her home. We're gonna get into the wrap up for the wrap up. Okay. So for new employees doing onboarding, and these are just some ways that you can communicate like your mission and your vision and what have you, for whoopsie. Weird box. Okay. For new employees during onboarding, this is what you're going to do. This is how they know what they're getting into, right? You provide written material on the expectations. You provide training and orientation experiences that help reinforce the expectations. For on the job training, you place new employees with an experienced employee who models the expectations, right? And for existing employees during orientation during the orientation, you orient them to new company engagement policies, right? And during ongoing performance and feedback and discussions, and again, those pieces are so key. You have to be always communicating with your team so that they are in the loop, they know, and they can also help you stay focused when you all are looking at the same mission, the same vision, and trying to get to the same feedback, right? Other things you can do, you want to empower personnel to make decisions that improve customer service, and it can increase their sense of engagement. So you define areas for yourself where it's okay. You feel okay about employees exercising discretion in meeting customer needs. What decisions do they not have to come back and run by you? And part of that again is hiring people that you trust and can depend on in your business to be able to think like you would think and make a decision that you would make, right? Micromanaging everyone in every situation is going to lead to burnout. And it is going to also lead to employees that don't feel like you trust them and you're always looking over their shoulder. And that's a very uncomfortable situation to be in, too. No one really wants to be micromanaged, right? You define specific kinds of decisions that employees can make without negative repercussions from management. And then you also define those areas processes that must remain standard upfront. What are the places where your employees have a little wiggle room, and what are the ones that are just a definitely no, we're not crossing this process, and there's no wiggle room for that. But you can determine that. And sometimes you may want to work with your leadership team to determine some of those things right up front. And then there's follow through. You don't criticize employee decisions made in good faith within their areas of discretion. So once you've told them that they have the autonomy to make those decisions, you don't criticize the decisions that they've made. However, if you feel like there should have been a different decision made, you have a conversation, and you try to get to understand why they made the decision they did, kind of what perspective were they coming from, and then brainstorm with them some other options that could have been available as well. But that's not the same as criticizing someone, right? And don't dump a poorly designed process on an employee to figure out. That's going to lead to destruction every time, right? These are some other things that you can be doing. You change position descriptions to reflect the appropriate empowerment, to reflect the areas in which they have the autonomy and the areas in which there's kind of no flexibility. You establish procedures for process improvement teams. You do some deliberate management by requesting advice from knowledgeable employees within their areas of expertise. Because remember, these are your frontline folks. These are the people that are using your product or your process all the time, and they can give you the best feedback from both customers, on that output side, but also from the things that are kind of clunky and wonky as they're trying to execute the processes that are in place to best serve your clientele, right? And then also publicly acknowledging their contributions, you know, and then have employees participate in company strategic planning sessions. You may not have them in the entire session, but there are pieces and parts where you can hear from your employees so that as you're developing your strategies for growth or for moving forward to developing more, to gaining more revenue, having employees as a part of that conversation makes them feel like they are a part of the company and that their voices are being heard, and you may get some great feedback and information from them that you would not have otherwise had or thought of had you not included them as a part of the conversation. And so, again, here's another really cool quote. You are what you consistently do. which makes excellence not an act, but a habit. So if you are consistently doing something, if you are consistently being excellent, it is a habit. You are not acting like you're excellent, right? And then all of those things will then fall in line as well. So this is kind of bringing us to the wrap up a bit. Okay. I want to just ask you all to take a few minutes. I'm going to just kind of stop the share here real quick. And I want you to think about all the things that we've kind of talked about, because we covered a lot, right? In this time that we've been together. And I want you to think of two things, and I want you to drop it in the chat. Number one, the first thing being, what is one thing that you have taken away from our conversation here tonight that you feel like you didn't know before, or you feel like it was a valuable tidbit that you will take away? And the second thing that I want you to do is tell us, what is the one action that you will take this week towards meeting your business goal, right? No matter what part of your business, if you're just thinking about it or whatever, and how you're going to use this. So what is the one takeaway, and what is the one action item that you're going to commit to this week, right? Because we're only on Monday. So you got the whole week, right, to take action. Because one of the things is if you come and you sit in seminars and you sit in webinars and you go to trainings and you get all this great information and you take all these great notes, and then you go home and you do nothing, you will never see any movement or improvement. So the one thing that you can honestly say you can commit to, and I want to see you drop it in the chat. Okay. All right, Christina, try sell to people who believe what you believe. I love it. Yes. Commit to hiring a web design company by April. Awesome. Very good. By April. Now, in order to, now you're saying I'm going to commit. Leslie, I'm talking to you, my friend. You're saying you're committing to hiring a web design company by April. What are the things that you need to do? So this week, you need to be writing down what are the things that you're going to be looking for? What are the questions you want to ask? What are the things that you're going to do? What is going to be the research that you're going to do in order to do that? Because by April, you should be ready to go. You shouldn't just be figuring it out. So if the goal is to hire a web design company by April, what are the things that you need to do to prepare yourself to do that? Does that make sense? Because see, we say, all right, fantastic. Because see, we say we're going to do these things, but then we still got to take action. We got to come up with something. Right. Leslie, are all the points discussed? Uh-oh, hold on. I lost it.
We answered that question earlier.
We did. Okay. All right. I will start writing out my policy and procedure book. Okay, fantastic. All right. For your medical supply company. Okay. Very good. And when you say I'm going to start writing it out, that means you're going to start and take some intentional steps. And even if you just complete one paragraph of it, but then commit to yourself to taking the next step and when you're going to do it by. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, fantastic. All right. Who else? Who else? What we got? Trace, can you see?
The last one was just I learned the importance of defining my why.
Absolutely.
That was a great one.
Fantastic. Yeah, because that's what it's all about.
And someone else said purpose is emotion, which is such a good way to separate, the purpose and the passion. So yeah, that's really, really important, especially for everybody diving into creating the procedure, like all of that, because we have to
Yes.
separate that stuff out.
Yes.
One of my favorite things to remember, both for myself and when I'm coaching others, is to separate who you are from what you're doing, right?
Mm,
Who you are is absolute perfection, brilliance. You're the most perfect soul,
mhm.
right? But we may fall down. We might
We
make
may.
and giving ourselves that grace. So just remember to first take that kindness towards yourself as you start diving into these things. And then it's a great way to lead others. Like, making sure they know that when you're giving critical feedback, it is not about who they are. It's about this one little thing over here that we need to kind of correct a little.
Right. And that is excellent, Tracy. And we will fall down. But here's the whole thing. What if we never fall down, we don't really learn anything, right? If we never have that oopsie moment, and if we are so afraid to fail, as we put it, right? Sometimes that's not a failure, that's a lesson, right? I can do this again, but maybe I need to do it in a different way. Or, and if we do something and it doesn't work, it's important to take the time to kind of debrief on that thing, right? Okay, these are the parts that worked and these are the parts that didn't work, right? And
Absolutely.
is there another way that I could go about this? We don't want to necessarily have to start at the drawing board every time, right? We don't have to throw out the whole thing, but we do want to be able to identify what really went well and why we think that maybe some other things didn't go well. What do we need to put in place? What do we need to change? What do we learn from that? You know, and I always suggest a good way to do that is by journaling some of those things, right? If you're trying some new things, you write it down. Write down what worked, write down what didn't work. And then, really take some time to look at if there were some other things. What did I maybe miss? And try it again and try it again. You know, practice is preparation. Practice is preparation.
Absolutely. And there's no such thing as anyone that has ever achieved anything of greatness, anything that we would call quote unquote successful, that has not endured failure, falling down, bumps, bruises, roadblocks. It's
Absolutely.
all part of it. It's part of the journey there. The one thing that is really, really important to remember when it comes to focusing on your why. Even if you just start with asking yourself that every morning. If you go on a walk, if you before you get to the office or wherever you're working, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Like,
Mm-hmm.
why is it important to me? And just keep asking, not that you're forcing an answer. You have to be like loose with this. And you also have to accept that there is no right or wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to put a lot of pressure on it. I think that's the thing, that it has to be this big thing. It literally can be because you have something stirring inside you that told you you need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough of a why.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just talked to hundreds of entrepreneurs that were like, oh, if I only had a bigger why.
Mm-hmm.
Your why is big enough for you. Just have clarity on what it is.
Mm-hmm. 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 That's absolutely true. Nobody else should be able to judge your why, and you don't give anybody else the power to do that, right? Because everybody's calling is not your calling. Everybody's purpose is not your purpose. You know what I mean? And so in your lane, you're going to understand it. And you may not be able to get others to understand it, but don't make somebody else make you, allow you to feel like your purpose or your why is not good enough. Your why is your why. All right. Fantastic. All right. So let me just share one last time. And I promise you, we are wrapping it up now. All right. All right. So here is a couple of things, right? Um, just some next steps to wrap this all up, right? So discover what your why is. write it down, and create a personal mission statement, right? Create a personal mission statement just like you would for your business. Determine how you're going to share your why with others, with employees and other stakeholders, be it your customers, clients, whoever, external partners, determine how you're going to share it with others. And then also join us. And this says Wednesday, but it's not Wednesday. What is it? Is it Tuesday or Monday, Trace? Next
Next
week.
week is Monday,
Next Monday.
and
Okay.
the week after is Tuesday. I know.
Okay, yeah. So next Monday, we will be back here talking about who's in the workplace, right? Looking at generations within our organizations and how we can leverage the talents and gifts that they all bring into our workplace. And so that was again for question. Here is a way to connect with me if you have, questions. This is all of my information, and here are ways to connect with Tracy. We will make sure that you all get this PowerPoint so that you can have that information. But again, this is Tracy's information to connect on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok. She's fancier than I am.
I'm just
Here's
everywhere.
yeah. Well, I just this week created an Instagram page, so I didn't add it to this because there's no traction going on in it just yet. But I am on LinkedIn and I am on Facebook, and I also have a website, legacybuilderscoaching@gmail.com. So feel free to reach out to either of us in those ways. And then just some final words about SCORE. Again, they offer remote mentoring, resilience training. There's a whole resource portal. This just kind of talks about the demographics and the areas that we serve, as in terms of small business clients. And this is an organization that is supported by the U.S. Small Business Administration. So we are legit and charge nothing, 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 nothing. This is volunteer driven, volunteer led, and folks with lots of experience come to the table. And this is how you can find us, by going to Cleveland SCORE. And again, you can request local mentoring. You can register for a live webinar there. And there are just lots and lots of resources that are there and available to you. If you are not already a member of SCORE, it is one way for you to be able to get connected. Okay. So that is all that I have for you tonight. I am so happy to be able to give you back a good 25 minutes of your life back that you would have never gotten back if I kept on rattling on. But we will hang out here for just a few minutes. If you have questions, or you have something you were kind of shy and didn't want to say in front of others. But other than that, we look forward to seeing you all next week for our part 3 of this soft skills series. All right. Thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your evening to join us and to be with us. I hope that this was a valuable session for you all. All right. Good night. Thanks, Margot. You're welcome. Thank you, everybody. All right. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end the session unless somebody has a question. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Good night.